Previously on the Gen Z Manifesto.
Hizi kazi ambazo vijana wana apply out of desperate. Mtu hata akisikia kuna security job na maybe yeye ako kwa hoteli ya industry, ana jump kupata ile kazi. So ni out of desperation.
At one angle, the government is failing to enforce laws that limit too many agencies, because when there are too many, you find that that's when the scamming begins.
Ni ngumu kabisa differentiate between the real agents and the fake agents. Juu wanakaa same after all. Manze, kuwa tu careful. Piga research yako safi kabisa. Unaona? Because pia kuna wale wasi wameenda huko hivyo majuu wame make it.
There are Kenyans who traveled abroad to work certain industries, certain sectors, but they have been unable to come back to this country, or unwilling for that matter, because they see the same mess they ran away from.
This thing of saying about cartels to go outside the country, no, tunataka kazi zikuwe hapa Kenya. We don't want to go outside the country. East or west, home is the best.
Kama kawaida, form ni kuongea, ikutoke.
Good evening and welcome back to another Tuesday of the Gen Z Manifesto. Kama kawaida, hapa form ni kuongea ikutoke. We are live on K24 and Kameme TV. Now, today we are talking about the very thing that took majority of us to the streets. The finance bill. It is almost a year later since Gen Zs began their injection journey. In the midst of it all, lives were lost. People were left traumatized, but the problematic bill was indeed rejected. Now, the proposed finance bill 2025-2026 is out. And the question is, have the things that took us to the streets been addressed this year? Have the government officials been listening to what the Mwananchi kwa ground says? Wewe kama Gen Z watching us at home, what are the areas on the bill that affect you directly, whether positively or negatively, that you'd like to be highlighted in this new proposed bill? Now, for the people who are against it as well, tell us what you think. Please indulge us on WhatsApp, and we'll be reading your feedback as the show goes on. Linda, are you ready for Tuesday?
I'm ready for Tuesday. I don't know if you can see it well. I'm ready for Tuesday. Well, did you say injection journey, girl?
Injection journey. We are calling it that.
I don't know whether we'll be back on the road again for another injection journey. But, well, before we even talk about the finance bill, you know there is a budget-making process in the country. And it will be so important to look at that, because there is formulation all the way to the approval, and it involves different parties, including the parliament, there is treasury, and many other players in the sector, including you who's watching us. That is public participation as well. But today we have experts in studio who will be able to dissect that. How does the budget making process in Kenya looks like, and how important it is for you to know about that before we even dive deep into the finance bill itself, you see?
All right, thank you so much, Linda. And I think we need to mention, oh, Majibu is here already with us? Okay, haya, basi Majibu go.
Yes, ndio nilikuwa nimetoka kiasi mvua imeanza kunyesha, lakini sasa unajua hata ikinyesha bado hizi tuzoea kuongelea finance bill. Ndio sasa leo mazee, kama kawaida vile misikia amesema ni kuongea tutoke ile kitu tulifanya majenzi wakatokea streets, ndio tunaongelelea leo, tunamalizana nayo leo, lakini majenzi ni wanoma mazee. Yaani mkafanya mpaka number 1 akasema hiyo document inafanya sasa mtokee streets, kama ni unafanya mkuje mseme mpaka State House. Na achana nayo sitaki. So, acha naongea tu na nyinyi kwanza. Kuna finance bill 2025-2026. Acha nianze kuongea tu na wao ni waniambie kwanza kama wameisoma, na pia kama wana agree na hiyo document ama pia wanaipinga. Nianze na nani? Wanaume ni wengi, baby girl. Jina, alafu niambie kwanza kama wamesomea finance bill, alafu niambie kama iko sawa ama iko aje.
Asante sana, naitwa Margaret Maina, na kiukweli tumesoma finance bill. Hata kama hatujaimalizia, mambo mengine tuna agree nayo, mengine hatu agree nayo. Vitu kama renovation 2.39 billion renovation ku repair State House, and unfortunately enough hiyo repair imekuwa happen every fiscal year, every financial year imekuwa happen.
Juzi wameka flat roof.
Sasa alafu wamenini mpaka penetration ya holes ndio tusisikie whatever they wanna discuss. What is that anyway? What is that? Yeah.
So one of the things you wanazipinga ni 2.3 billion ya renovation.
One of the things. Do you know why? Kama sahi hatuna vaccines in this country. Na hii country we only need like 2.8 billion to clear the debt ya Gavi, yeah? And the debt of Global Fund, do dispatches of vaccines. Now kindly tell me, will you first go to the priority of vaccines ama utaenda kwa priority of State House, 12 State House, achizirepewe do president anakaa mahali pazuri. Now these are some of the things that normally huwa tunakuja hapa kwa streets. Yeah.
Hiyo finance bill 2025, wacha niongea sana mzee mzima hapa Vincent Akech. Amesema one of the things yanazipinga ni renovation 2.3 billion ya renovation ya State House. Nikuuliza unasemaje? Sasa ukiingia nyumba mpya bro, naambia caretaker paka rangi nyingine. Kwani hamtaki renovate ama ni nini man?
Sasa unajua tulimpea job ya kuongoza nchi, sio ya rangi. Ama mlipea rangi? Sisi hatukumpatia ya rangi. Sisi tulimpea apake nchi rangi. Yeye ameingilia State House. State House iko sawa bwana. State House imekaa nayo enzi ya Kenyatta, enzi ya Kibaki, hata huyu atakaa hapo. Hakuna haja ya rangi. Tulimpatia kazi, apatie vijana kazi. Yeye instead apatie vijana kazi. You can imagine waneka 1.5 as a tax kwa digital jobs. So even a student like atalipa 1.5% of the tax. I mean, this is crazy.
Lakini pale kwa youth bro, wametenga 24 billion kwa projects za youth.
I mean, youth ni youth gani? Youth gani? Maneno gani haya? Youth gani? Youth gani?
Ndio hawa kina Mboya, acha waongee sasa.
Honestly, kwanza nikireflect tu kutoka jana the grave allegation yenye president alisema ya kwamba hakuna Gen Z wote wenye walikuwa abducted wameweza kurudi manyumbani kwao. It's a very very sad and shocking statement yenye president anaweza issue. The fact that tuli come out in large numbers last year ina reflect the needs na priorities zile government inaweza kutuletea. But tumechoka kusikia so many allocation. Tumetenga these billions for youth services, tumetenga hizi billions for job creations, lakini hatuzioni. If sasa tunaweza fanya assessment ya Ruto from 2022 coming to 2025, nini amefanyia vijana? Hakuna. Ametuua, ametuabduct, ametuzi, ametutenga bure kabisa.
Haya, ni maneno yao, si mimi nimesema, ni majenzi. Haya, wanasema ni wananchi wamesema. Wacha mko wengi bana, kujeni hii side nyingine pia muonekane. Kwani hamtaki kuonekana kwa TV? Haya, nikuje kwako Bazu. Unaitwa nani alafu nikuulize ile finance bill 2025 umeisoma ukaielewa, una agree nayo ama unaipinga maiji?
Kwa majina naitwa Oscar Kiplagat kutoka Wazingishu. Na kabla nikuja hapo, tafadhali kwa sekundi 10 ningependa kucomment. Unajua president yesterday
na ambao hawakuoni pale State House, waangalie wa address.
Unajua rais ametuambia kwamba ameachilia wale vijana ambao aliabduct. So the president ameadmit ya kwamba yeye ndiye aliabduct vijana. Na kuna ambao hawajapatikana. Tunaomba rais release wote kwa sababu yeye ndiye aliabduct. Then nikikuja kwa finance bill, mimi nimeisoma na naendelea kusoma, na naomba vijana waendelee kusoma. Tuisome until the last minute. Hatutaki ile siku tutasema hii ni mbaya, waanze kutupiga risasi tena. Kwa sababu BBC bado inaangalia hii maneno. Ndio.
So, ameage majenzi, wenye mnaniona saa hii, wenye mnatuwatch, kama uko Meru, uko Nyandaro, uko Shakahola, chambua finance bill. Haya, nikuje kwako, kiongozi. So, kuja karibu pia wewe. Foni kuja kwa Bazu. Unaitwa nani alafu pia wewe umechambua finance bill?
Mimi naitwa Ndambuki Oranse, nimechambua finance bill. And kwanza nataka kuongelelea this evening. I would like to urge my fellow Gen Z tusome, tusikue kwa street tukisema we reject this finance bill and then hatujui tunaongelelea nini. So tuisome kwanza before tuende kwa street kwa tunajua what we are talking about. Na unajua unaweza enda kwa street useme Ruto must go, yes must go. Then after tumekupea power unaweza fanya nini with that authority, with that position, unaona? So kitu naweza waji sahi tusome finance bill. Then we are so much disappointed with especially our member of parliament, MPs, disappoint sana. I don't know how you can just go and represent your people from your constituency. Then during the day we really need you to support us to vote what you want. You just concentrate and just want to fill your pockets, then you are against our will. We are really disappointed.
So wewe umesema MPs na last time walivotia sana though wengi wenu mliipinga. Do you believe that other this time round bado mkisema mnaipinga bado wataivotia yes?
We cannot trust the MPs anymore because we see what they did. We are in the street fight for our country, then they are inside the parliament voting for the finance bill. Yes, they really betrayed us, members of parliament. I would like to urge the young men now, the men in the streets, the young people now, the Gen Zs. If you can now think you can lead your country, go to the street, like start securing that position. Go and replace that your MP.
Wazi bazuna ambao kuna senior Gen Z hapa bana, tulikuwa naye kwa maandamano, huyu naye walimshika mpaka wakachoka na yeye. Ulitokea maandamano time ya finance bill, mkipinga finance bill. This time round, are you happy with the current document?
No, I'm not happy. Venye naweza sema the finance bill is not pro-poor at all. Because sahi tukiangalia kama hiyo unasema at State House renovation 2.3 billion, that can do a lot for the ordinary people. Tuseme kama ni mahospitali, hakuna dawa, doctors are underpaid, interns hawajakuwa posted. I think our priorities are lopsided. Yani tumekosa kuona zile mambo zinafaa, the issues of the poor. These are the things that we should be concerned about.
Nasema gava kwanza ideliver zile chapati li promise.
Of course, yeah. I mean, those things, those issues that are making people to get angry and come into the streets because it is us that they are affecting. Kama hakuna madawa kwa hospitali na vitu kama hizo, sisi ndio tunakuwa affected na tunasikia vibaya sana. Ndio maana tunaona gava inafanya hakuna kitu inafanya poa. So it's very
perfect. Pia kuna Gen Z hapa Bazuku Japantwa Nick tulikuwa nayo last week kwa People Dialogue. Umechambua finance bill na so far nini ile yenye inakukera labda ama pia kama kuna yenye pia unasema hapo yenyewe gava inasema inafanya kazi fiti.
Sawa, mimi naitwa Nick, vile umesikia. So kwangu nataka nikuwe very honest. The reason as to why tuna discuss mambo za finance bill here, it is very unfortunate because the people whom we elected wafanya kazi ya legislation na kutusaidia to speak on behalf of the people. They have now stopped speaking on behalf of the people na wanaongelea wa biashara zao na wanaongelea mambo za serikali ambazo hazisaidii mwananchi directly. On this issue of the finance bill, mimi nataka nikuwe honest kabisa. Nimesoma na nimeangalia kuwa there is no even a percentage of anything ambayo imekuwa increased. Lakini if at all finance bill our judiciary ilituambia kuwa NGCDF and CDF ni unconstitutional. So long as hiyo mambo za NGCDF, CDF bado kwa hiyo finance bill, then ina make it unconstitutional. Na hiyo ndio nataka niambie rais kuwa if at all muta retain mambo za NGCDF, of which is very unscrupulous, very unfair na isaidii mwananchi directly, tunataka hizo mambo za NGCDF, CDF zieko through the Ministry of Education, say that zilipo shule directly. Isikuwa anapewa wabunge because in 5 years kila mbunge anapewa either 850 million. That is a lot of money. Hiyo pesa zote zishikwe, ziekwe Ministry of Health because Ministry of Health is the only institution ambayo iko na the all data ya wanafunzi Kenya mzima na iki
umesema issue education, nataka turudi kwa finance bill kidogo. Wame reduce budget education compared to the last finance bill. Wame reduce na 5 billion. Na sasa hii kumekuwa na issues mingi sana, wasao na complain kuna hiyo university funding model, walimu, mishahara ni nini, sana makampo. Do you think it was wise to reduce your budget to 5 billion?
It's not wise because unajua the greatest investment that you can ever do to a student ama mwanafunzi ule mdogo ni through education. So in fact mahali serikali inafaa kuinject a lot of resources is health and education. Yes.
Perfect. Wacha unasema nataka kuongezea kwa hiyo. Haya.
On sector of education, you know, by reducing, I don't know whether tumeona ile kesi tumekuwa nayo na health. They reduced it last year, financial budget last year. Now whatever is happening kwa health, nurses kama leo amekuwa maandamano. Do you know why? They are complaining about underemployment, they are complaining about underpayment, bado wana complain about interns kukosa kupostiwa. Now whatever watafanya na education, it is the same things that they are seeing the people in health wakifanya. Again, I want to talk about the renovation factor. Tuliona, or from the last year financial budget, we've seen that hizo tenders zinapewa watu wenye common, watu wale wanajulikana. Kama I'm going to give an example of Coricom. Coricom it belongs to the deputy governor wa Meru and the wife. Now yet, the youths have the AGPO certificate. I really wonder why the government are not considering those tenders even to the youths. And yet, bado tutasoma tuone kama those youths will be given those tenders. Tuko macho sana.
Haya, okay, pia mimi nimekapita kwa document. Bazu kuja hapa, kuna 30 billion ya special projects. Na kuna ingine 22 walisema sijui ni ya, acha nikuonyeshe tu saa hii. Confidential expenditure. Maana hizi ni gani?
Sasa hiyo maneno yote watoe waeke education. Hiyo renovation ni ya State House, wa renovate mashule huko kama ni aje? Yes. Hiyo renovation ya huko roof, mashule huko bana, mvua inapiga watoto huko my friend. Mvua sasa hivi mvua inanyesha, wanafunzi wanalala kwa mvua, hawana vitanda. That money of renovation, State House will be renovated in 2027 na rais mgeni wa Kenya. Huyu aishi hivyo. Huyu akae tu hivyo. No problem. Huyu akae tu hivyo.
Haya. Bazu kuja hapa. Kuna walikuwa anasema hiyo 30B ni budgeted corruption. Si mimi nimesema ni wao.
Ni sisi ndio tunasema. Hiyo ni corruption. Scrub it away. Hatuitaki kabisa kwa sababu hiyo tu wenyewe wanatuamsha. Sisi hatuna ubaya, tuna oversight our country. Tuna oversight our government. Si tumewaelect wafanye ile ambayo tunataka wafanye. Si kuallocate unnecessary money kwa vitu ambayo stahili. Hiyo mambo ya kwa ati sijui face uplift ya State House, hiyo sisi hatujui. Sisi hata hatujaiona State House, tunaionea kwa nini? Hiyo kama ni Shalina amepropose ama George, hiyo sisi hatutaki kujua. Hiyo sisi hatuko.
Haya, wacha wewe hamwezi complain kila kitu mazi. So walisema there are no added taxes. Hakuna taxes zimeongezwa. Pia mna complain bado.
Ukiangalia vizuri, kwanza sikuwa nimejibu mambo na kureview the budget ya Finance Bill 2025 to 2026. So hata kama no new taxes ambazo zimekuwa introduced, kuna goods ambazo zilikuwa zero rated. Saa hii zimekuwa scheduled for VAT taxation. Sasa ukiangalia zile burden ambazo businesses zinapata kwa kukosa kureclaim the VAT, hiyo burden actually inakuwa transferred to consumers. So tunaweza dhani because businesses ziko favorable ziko favorable na hizi VAT exemption, but it is highly likely easy issues zikuwe transferred sasa kwetu sisi kama consumers.
Ni norma bado.
Na hiyo ni norma. So ukiangalia kuna positive effect ya 25% ya excise duty kwa kitu kama mayai, potatoes na nini. But tusidanganyane, kuna hii kitu ya KRA ya ku-access personal data za businesses za watu. That alone is a serious burden. Kwa sababu previously KRA, kuna businesses ambazo ziko na system enye ilikuwa ina integrate KRA without accessing personal data. So hii finance bill ikienda through, KRA will have access, full access to trade secrets na pia kuangalia vile business yako ina run. Hiyo tunakataa. Tunasema watu kuwa prepared kuambia KRA hakuna ku-access personal data na trade secrets za businesses zetu.
Haya, na mbona nafaa kurusha hiki? Kuna jenzi hajaongea mazibazu kidogo tu briefly. Ana rehearse. Haya, acha kidogo tu, dakika moja bro. Wewe umesoma finance bill, unasemaje man? Kuja hapa. Alikuwa ana text mrembo. Mwambie kwa TV.
I just want to put it across that in a way that we see things are going, mambo haendi sawa. Tunalazima sisi kama Wakenya tuchangamke, tusije tukalala, kwa sababu hatuwezi kaa kwa ile inchi ambayo
na mbona unaficha hatukuoni uso mzee.
Ucho ndio yeah. Hatuwezi kaa kwa ile inchi ambayo tunaona mambo zinaenda sengebnege, alafu tukande tunangoja ati mambo itengenezwe pale alafu tukuje. Hapana, lazima sisi tufanye nini? Tutoe sauti, kwa sababu the pillars of a nation, the stability of a nation depends on agriculture. But the way we see in agriculture, the tax, if we put more tax to our farmers, we will find that most of the services will not reach to the consumers at a very affordable price. So we will not allow our country to go in that direction. We must also create industries so that our youth or the populations, the employed population, can get jobs. Because if youths are not employed, we will have a country that depends on other nations. We'll be begging. We'll be begging. We beg for food. Like, for example, we'll have where a rich nation should not depend on another nation. We should not import more than that which we produce. So that's my view, a point of view.
Asante. Nambo nafaa kurudisha bana, time imeisha, lakini wanasema wajamaliza, lakini time pia imeisha. Kuna majenzi wengine wanataka pia kuchangia mada, na pia kuna feedback zenye misikia na soma ina feel. Lakini kutoka katikati mwa jiji la Nairobi CBD, mnasemaje?
Tumekataa. Kwa sasa hapana maneno. Tumekataa hiyo.
Haya, si mimi ni wao, sina jibu. Majibu kisao narudisha studioni. Miss K.
Waangalie tena maneno. Vijana wasome.
Thank you so much, Majibu. Wamesema wamekataa, sijui hapa studio watasema nini. Now remember, the question of the day is, umesoma Finance Bill 2025, and what are your opinions on the same? Tunataka kusikia some feedback from you guys at home. Umechambua Finance Bill 2025. Let's get some feedback. Okay. Eric Yebei anasema, nangoja nichambuliwe. Unangoja uchambuliwe, Eric Yebei? You need to chambua yourself, okay? Siblin Bweyoa anasema hakuna haha na reject. All right. Yeye amesema na reject. Felix Kambuni anasema reject Finance Bill 2025. But umeisoma kwanza before reject. We want to hear from you. Trevor Kimutai anasema sitaki hata kuichambua sababu ni obvious kuna uongo ndani yake na kupumbaza wananchi. Is it really obvious? I feel like tunafaa tuisome kwanza before we judge it, okay? Maureen Malova anasema hata bila kusoma reject. Guys, tukueni serious. Tukueni serious. Tafadhali Sheikh, utatuambia kama wewe mwenyewe umeisoma. Joseph Musembi anasema iko wapi? Tunakutumia. Okay. All right, so we are going to go for a short break and then tutarudi hapa studio and talk to the people here about their opinions. See you in a minute.
Connected to DSTV this April and May and get all the football finals you want.
Mafanikio hayaji kwa bahati. Ni matokeo ya bidii, uvumilivu, kujifunza, kusoma, kujituma na zaidi ya yote, kukipenda unachokifanya.
Kupata mafanikio kama skiza tune yako, dial *811 *614#.
Kwiragwo rwimbo ni dawa ya mahindi.
Ambia bini man mepata kuinua dancehall.
Kameme TV twekura tafarira ya Jumatatu
#Afro-Monday,
#Social Monday.
Show me a jiggle, let me see. Let me see, and let me see the woman that is with.
Nego wakere tukire na moko-ini manyene thiini wa kanitha wa Remboka. Wakatatu ni Reggae Kaboom. Wakana
TBT Thursday. Ama tusiendelee.
#TBT Thursday. Nego wagatano tugenekeria kiumia na Cocktail Friday.
Tumekuja kuslide kwa weekend yako in style.
Shemani na Wajiko James aka Gaudon Pineapple, Mena Moch aka Kamasta. Ni Jumatatu ginyagia wagatano thaa 10 cia hwaini ginyagia thinacara cia hwaini. Hihi wina kioria kana woni wegie umemerekia wa Kameme TV. Twandikire woni waku kuhitukira Facebook @Kameme TV Kenya, X @Kameme TV Kenya, na twandikire email kuhitukira info@mediamax.co.ke. Kameme TV, muthigi wa ruriri.
And welcome back. This is the Gen Z Manifesto. Na swali ya leo ni umesoma Finance Bill 2025 and what are your opinions about it? We are talking about the very thing ilitupeleka kwa streets last year. We are back at it again. Sheikh, I want to hear from you, sir. Ndio Mike. Umesoma Finance Bill 2025 and if yes, nini me stand out to you so far?
Asante sana. Okay. Ndio nimeisoma lakini bado hatujaichambua. Kumbuka nimepata ni zaidi ya 135 pages. Kwa hivyo bado tunaichambua na tuko na watu ambao tutakaa chini nao tuweze kuchambua moja kwa moja. Lakini kabla tujaenda kwa msaada huo, tunaanza kujiuliza yale majeraha ya msaada wa fedha wa 2024 bado hatujayapona. Bado tunaumia. Mwezi ujao tutakuwa tunaomboleza wale vijana wetu ambao tuliweza kuwapoteza. Sasa serikali inajaribu kutufumba macho, kutuweka kitu kingine ili tushughulike naye, lakini sisi si wajinga. Mwacheni kutubeba ufala. Sisi tumejipanga. Kama ni mikakati kutoka tarehe 18 hadi 25, kuna mikakati tumeweka. Kuna mipango tumeweka. Tutakuja live on TV tuwaonesha kwamba sisi hatujasahau wale wenzetu ambao waliuliwa bila hatia. Na tunataka serikali iwajibike. Kumbuka pia jana niliuliza swali na nitauliza leo tena. Je, Charles Were ni Mkenya zaidi kuliko Rex Masai? Je, Charles Were aliyopigwa risasi 5 anastahili huruma zaidi ya ule mtoto Kennedy ambaye alipigwa risasi 9 na mtu mmoja? Ndio tunajiuliza, kwani kuna Wakenya ambao ni Wakenya zaidi yetu? Sisi tunaomba tu kwamba pamoja na kwamba tunapochambua ile mswada wa fedha wa mwaka huu, tunataka tujiangalie, tujiulize sisi vijana tunaelekea wapi. Sababu itafika mwaka 2027 na tujipate kwamba tumeshikwa bila kujipanga. Kwa hivyo sisi tumejipanga. Kuna vyama muungano za kisiasa tuko nazo kama J25 Coalition Movement, tuko na New Generation Aspirants. Sisi tumejipanga. By election inakuja mtatuona. Kwa hivyo sisi finance bill sio muhimu sana saa hizi kwa sababu tumeichambua, tumepata delete this, delete that, tumepanga hii, tumetenga hii. Hiyo sisi haituhusu. Ya mwisho kabisa naambia wananchi. Ndio najua wengi wenu hamwezi kuja kuomboleza na sisi, lakini tungependa kuomba, unaona mimi nimefunga band ya Kenya. Kutoka tarehe 18 hadi tarehe 25. Naomba kila Mkenya ima ufunge bendera katika mkono wako kuonesha kwamba umesimama na sisi, ama kama huna bendera hata kitambaa nyeusi ama nyekundu. Tunataka tusimame na wale ambao tunaomboleza kabla hatujachambua ile ambayo inakuja. Na Ruto tunataka ujipange. Kumbuka sisi nyinyi mnatupatia tu Matiangi, Mara wa Munyoro, sijui Morara au si watu wetu. Sisi tuko na mtu wetu. Sisi kwanza tunajipanga ndio wakati ambao tutachagua ule ambaye atatusimamia. We the team are the ones who are going to tell him what to do. Asante.
Thank you, Sheikh. Now, you've talked about bado we are tunaomboleza, tuna majeraha, yeah? Now, the president amesema wenye waliabductiwa wamerudishwa manyumbani kwao. What is your opinion on that?
Uongo kabisa. Mlolongofu wako wapi? Wale vijana ambao waliuliwa, je, kuna msaada wamepatiwa? Mama Kennedy bado analia. Tulikuwa kwake Rongai. Mama Kennedy bado analia. Unajua president yani kwake maneno, yani ulimi unajua haina mfupa. Inasema vile anasema. Tunataka tujiulize yeye wakati alipokuja akaambiwa kuna kijana ambaye amepigwa risasi 9. Yeye pamoja na ile elimu yake na ile cheo yake anauliza nadhani bado kijana yuko hai. Kwani alikuwa hajaambiwa? Kwa hivyo awaache kutudanganya. Hata kama wamerudishwa, ile jeraha ambayo tumepata, je, itapona? Unajua yale ambayo nimepitia, hata mimi mwenyewe ambaye nilibebwa, ambapo sikuteswa, lakini imekaa katika maisha yangu nikijua kwamba ingali mimi nilijiona na fahari kwamba nimebeba kwa sababu ya nchi yangu, nimefungwa kwa sababu ya nchi yangu. Mimi kwangu that's a pride. Okay, I'm very proud to be arrested for my country. That's not something to be ashamed of. Lakini nauliza wale vijana ambao walifungwa, walipigwa. Mimi nimekutana na wale ambao walipotezwa na wakarudishwa, wengine hata hawezi kuongea.
Thank you, Sheikh.
Hawezi hata kuongea.
Asante sana. Now, as you still remember what happened last year, I want to come to you. Yes? Have you read the Finance Bill 2025 so far? And nini may stand out to you so far?
Thank you so much. I've read the Finance Bill 2025 and I'm reading it continuously to understand it more.
Mm-hmm.
And what's outstanding for me in the Finance Bill 2025, there is no big difference except deletion and replacement in each and every clause.
Mm-hmm.
And it might seem simpler to the government with the deletion and replacement cases in the finance bill, but to the common mwananchi who the finance bill targets, who is the major target of the finance bill, bado ataumia pale nyuma. You know, speaking about tax, we call it tax exemption and zero rating. You know, replacing that will only help the government not to pay the 16% to the manufacturers. But you know, the manufacturer will increase his 16% to the consumer so as to earn his profit. Mm-hmm. So the government will benefit, yes, but the consumer won't benefit. Number two, about the extension of the periods of the returns and the processing of the tax returns by the KRA. You know, I was thinking if I was a parent right now, the previous was 90 days and it's extended to 120 days.
Yes.
120 days is about 4 months, and I was a parent who is to pay school fee for a student in a high school or a primary school. You also see the cases to the funding of the education system.
Right.
And I was to pay, I was expecting the return to pay my fee to my kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I had promised the principal that after 3 months, that is by the end of the term, I'll be able to remit my fee to you. But now the government is extending it to 120 days. Yet it will benefit the KRA. But to the common mwananchi who is expecting to take the kid to school won't be able to pay that fee. Again, on the valuable items, the foodstuffs, it will affect mwananchi kabisa.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Let me come to you, sir. Tulienda maandamano, tuka reject finance bill, now we are here 1 year later. Do you think with the current now finance bill, do you think wametusikiza? Is it reflecting that they heard us during the finance bill 2024 protests?
According to what I have learned from the finance bill 2025, there is nothing that the government has taken to consider the Gen Zs and the common mwananchi as part of Kenyans. First of all, if you look at the finance bill, they're shifting from zero rating to VAT. As my brother said, the impact is on the consumer, not the producer or the government. Secondly, the government doesn't consider common mwananchi. They make the assumption that everybody in Kenya is literate, first of all. If you look at the finance bill, they use that term, technical terms, that there is that perception that the largest percentage of Kenyans are literate, but some are illiterate. They need to understand the finance bill for them to allow it to be allowed to be in for the MPs to allow it function.
Do you think they are doing this purposely ndio watu wasielewe?
Yeah, they're doing this purposely because it should be, first of all, the finance bill, it seems like they make the finance bill for the members of parliament because they are the people who are being explained for it. They go and approve it to function, not considering the citizens, how the citizens will feel about it and what the citizens think about it.
So now, sasa since we are here, last time niliona wase wanai-translate to vernacular and all that. Is that one of the ways you think we can?
Yeah, that's one of the ways that I think can be done for simpler understanding. Secondly, the issue of renovation and everything, people have talked about it, and I want to talk about it.
I'll come back to you in a minute. We'll talk about renovation. Sasa, let me come to you, sir. Wamesema hawaguzi payslip. Shouldn't we be grateful?
First of all, the finance bill, hiyo inakuanga ni mambo ya those who are in power. It just benefits them. So we other citizens, we are not considered in the finance bill. So unapata kama hapo hawaguzi payslip, lakini sasa hatuna kazi. So hata wakisema hivyo wanajua hawajatupea kazi, of which hakuna kitu itaguzwa yangu. So haitusaidii bado. So hiyo BDF, hata ukiangalia the BDF ni pages mingi sana, of which kuna watu hawajasoma na tunaambiwa kuna free education, kuna of which kama mimi nikiangalia sijaisoma free tangu nianze nursery school. Huko hata nilikuwa primary school, but unapata you pay some fees, activity fees na lipa pesa tu mingi hapo. So of which ukifika bado university unaambiwa serikali itakulipia nini. Sasa of which unapata kama mimi sasa nalipa over 50,000 for a degree, of which sijui kama nikigraduate bado nitapata kazi. So hata wakisema hauzi payslip, sasa haita ni affect, siko kwa hiyo payslip. Yeah.
Okay, asante sana. Let me go to the far end with the guy with the flag here. Have you read the finance bill 2025? Na nini ime stand out for you so far?
Of course, naitwa Samuel Omare, na of course nimesoma hiyo finance bill, na kuna vitu nimeona zenye sana mimi unajua nimeangalia zile vitu zitaniumiza mimi kama mwananchi wa kawaida. So kuna story kama hiyo ya consolidated fund services. Hiyo inachukua karibu nusu ya budget yetu, ninaenda kwa kulipa vitu kama madeni, vitu kama mshahara za executive ama president hivi, na pensions za wale wameretire. Na hiyo do unapata inatumika hata kabla hujajengewa shule ama barabara ama hospitali, unapata hiyo do ishakatwa. Na hizo deni wanaenda kulipa, hata sijui kama hizo deni wanaenda kulipa, I don't think even they exist, because there was a case that the other day about odious debt, and it was said like hiyo deni ya Kenya, it's being overpaid. So ukiona wana put a lot of almost half of the budget kwa vitu kama hizo, is not good for the working people. And then hapo in the SMEs pia nimeona wamekuwa targeted na hiyo story ya e-teams, and KRA pia imepatiwa more powers vile nilikuwa nimesikia best yangu amesema. So kuna issues za privacy juu sasa wanaingilia hadi zile places zenye wako wanaingia kwa transactions zako, na unapata hiyo si poa, na ukiangalia ina affect mpaka ma propose zingine zina affect hadi hiyo transaction costs. Na Kenya ni country yenye ndio ilianzisha M-Pesa. It's very ironical ati gava fanya Kenya transaction costs inakuwa costly, stories za online banking hasa wanatumia do kutumiana inaweza kuwa costly, na hizo effects I think zinaweza obviously zitatuko down kwa mwananchi juu most of the people transactions zao za daily siku hizi wanatumiaga vitu kama M-Pesa. Alafu pia story ya si ni ma-Pan-Africanist, si ni ma-African siku hizi, unaona bado Kenya gava kuna story ya FCFTA. Gava haijafanya hizi business transactions between African countries zikuwe easier, na hiyo bado unaona inaturudisha nyuma kama country, na economy yetu inafinyika sana na hiyo story. So hapo kwa watu biashara ndogo, mimi kwanza hapo nimelia sana juu hata kama una less than 1 million bado unafaa kutumia hiyo story ya items, na ita affect cost zao za kufanya biz, administration costs itaenda juu, wasota kwa watavutwa job ndio hizo biz ziendelee kusurvive. Hata some of the businesses I don't think they will be able to survive through this items na history ya KRA.
Thank you so much. Linda, clearly, wase washaona loopholes, 135 pages, na so far kuna loopholes zenye ziko with us in the room.
Yeah.
I don't know from your panelists, wanasemaje juu ya story. You have an economist with you, we have Sophie over there. Please indulge us.
Well, I think it's a bone, It's a bone that we are about to chew. And a lot has been said. And well, I am not alone in the panel. I'm joined by Stella Swake. Stella Swake is the Senior Associate Research at Standard Investment Bank. Thank you for creating time to be with us here today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And we also have in studio Sophie Mugure, who's not new in our studios, who's a youth leader. Thank you so much, Sophie, for choosing to be at K24 today.
Thank you.
But well, a lot has been said. But allow me to take you back just a little bit. Before we get to the finance bill, there's an entire process that happens before we actually talk about the finance bill. Because finance bill, I believe, because we have an expert here, is one document that proposes how revenue is being raised. Well, but now, Stella, perhaps you can just take us through how the budget process in Kenya is and the involvement of finance bill in budget making process in the country.
All right, thank you very much, Linda. So, as opposed to when we are usually so much involved and invested in the budget process, the budget process begins right in August of the previous year. So what we are talking about right now, which is the budget for financial year 2025-2026, the process began in August of 2024. So we have 4 processes when you talk about the budget. We have the formulation bit, which is the first process, where we plan the medium term as well as the budget for the next year. So under formulation, we have a couple of documents that we talk about. We have the budget review and outlook paper. For the budget review and outlook paper, it reviews the budget for the previous year and gives an outlook, a general outlook of the next year. After that, we also have the budget policy statement, which again gives a detailed view of the medium term and the budget for the next year. And then we go to the finance bill now, and we also have the budget estimates. So we have 2 crucial bills when you talk about the budget. We have the appropriations bill and the finance bill.
And how is it that when it gets to the finance bill, it gets so emotive as opposed to the appropriations bill?
Because the finance bill proposes revenue raising measures, and it basically adds to the existing laws or acts to ensure that we raise the additional revenues that we want because of the budget that we have. So it emanates from the budget estimates. So for example, if you're looking at the budget and you are proposing to use, let's say, 4 trillion in a fiscal year, and this is an addition of, let's say, 500 billion from the previous year, the finance bill comes to tell us how we are going to raise this additional revenue. And so it raises a lot of emotions and a lot of jitters because it touches on the things that we use as the common wananchi. So it may touch on the common goods, the basic goods. It may touch on the process of reporting. It may touch on the number of frequency of reporting and all of that. And that's why we are usually so much involved in it. But on the contrary, the citizen should be involved in the whole process. When we have the budget and review outlook paper, it needs public participation, and the Treasury actually says we need public participation between this period and this period. It's usually not
as big as when the finance bill is.
Yeah. And of
but
which
who is
it should
to blame? Who is it to blame then? Is it that the government doesn't want to begin public participation at the initial stages so that you can take the entire crowd with you for an understanding, right? So who is to blame?
I think for the longest, the citizens or the Kenyans have not been so interested. We've been unbothered, but I am really glad that with the Finance Bill 2024, it brought a lot of interest from the citizenry. Now citizens want to participate. Some do not know how, but let me say the younger generation knows how. And it's good because we have a generation that is learned and can actually read. We've seen many of them saying, tunaendelea kuchambua. And we have very good institutions. The advisory institutions, tax and accountants, they do a lot of writing of the finance bill. So even when we talk about the technical terms in the finance bill, we have the relevant bodies that actually simplify it. Talk of Deloitte, PwC, the legal institutions, they simplify it for us. And I'd love actually to point out that the Finance Bill 2025 is one of the shortest we've seen in recent memory. It's usually very long and very technical, such that
it needs an expert to
exactly
diversify.
It needs experts to simplify it for the Kenyans.
We'll get back to that, but I would love to pick your thoughts as well, Sophie. When it comes to budget making process, have you been keen as a youth to even understand the entire process before it even gets to the finance bill? Because I feel like this is the year where the young generation is woke enough to ask the questions that are needed to be asked, especially to the government and to the stakeholders involved, like Treasury.
Thank you for having me. I would like to say that we have woken up to the realization that we live in a country that national resources and things that are meant for the common good of the Mwananchi are used to make profit for a chosen few in the population. So with this in mind, then, we are now more deliberate in participating in processes that directly affect us, especially when it comes to our pockets and our livelihoods.
Yeah, but what are the key things that for you stands out, especially when it comes to the finance bill, and you're like, 2025, these are some of the things that I want to see if they will feature on the finance bill. Has your curiosity grown over time now?
Yes, of course, because as an aspiring political leader, my vision is to see the lives of the common Mwananchi become better. I want to see a dignified Kenyan. I want to see a Kenyan who can live a good life. So with that in mind then, especially when it comes to this particular finance bill, yes, they're saying that they have not come for your pay slip directly in terms of slash, like what they did in the previous year in the finance bill for 2023. But if you're keen and you analyze this particular finance bill, it has come for the business person. It has made the business process and tax compliance to the business person so expensive that the business person will translate that cost to the common Mwananchi. For instance, Gen Zs now are taking to poultry farming. So you come and you put duty-free on onions, eggs and potatoes. So me as a Gen Z, I've taken that as I'm not getting employment, so I'm going for chicken farming. But if you allow a person from outside to have more advantage than me. You're coming for my payslip, quote unquote. A business person, right now tax compliance, if this bill goes forward, tax compliance for the business person will go higher. You find this particular finance bill is taxing to the extent of non-residents. It's taxing cryptocurrency. It's taxing digital services. You find these are areas where Gen Zs have run to find a way of creating income. So when you come for these things, really, you're coming for me, the common mwananchi. So you've not come directly for my payslip, but really the residual income that I had from what you've already taxed will go more. You get.
Yet you've employed yourself. You don't want to be employed by an institution. But, well, we'll still get more of that. But let me turn to you, Stella. When it comes to, since 2024 finance bill was thwarted or cancelled, are there concerns in regards to filling these revenue gap over time? Is the government going to increase some of the things to fill in the gaps that were left because they didn't collect much in the 2024 budgets?
Definitely, but from where I sit, the Finance Bill 2025 is set to raise between 25 and 35 billion shillings, which even from our analysis, we don't see it coming to pass because the business environment is significantly subdued. But then to answer your question in terms of whether we are seeing the gaps that were brought in by the cancellation of the Finance Bill 2024 in Finance Bill 2025, not necessarily so, even though there are tax proposals and tax adjustments in Finance Bill 2025. But remember, Finance Bill 2024 was to raise an amount around 344 billion. So comparing 344 billion and 35 billion, there's quite a very huge discrepancy or decline. So again, to answer your question, in a nutshell, our country will continue to borrow more as opposed to the revenues we try to raise using the finance
There's
bill.
a huge revenue gap so
Exactly, what we call the fiscal deficit. So it is a problem still because we continue to raise our expenditure while our revenues have stagnated. And revenues have stagnated because, number one, the economy is subdued. The businesses, as Sophie has put it clearly, are struggling with higher costs, higher input costs when it comes to electricity costs, fuel costs, taxes, and all of that.
Okay. You will continue with that conversation because it's super emotive, especially when it comes to the government saying there are no new taxes in this particular finance bill. Well, then there is a lot to look out for. But first, we still have a lot lined up. But let's take a short commercial break. We'll be right back.
Get Africa's best entertainment anytime, anywhere.
Bazinga.
And now for even less.
That's what we're here for, duh.
With DSTV Stream and Safaricom Home Fiber.
Wow.
Just dial *400#, then 0 to choose this DSTV special offer. Select your Safaricom Home Fiber account and the DSTV Stream package you want, now at a discounted special price.
Great.
Then select your Home Fiber plan, confirm payment, pay using your M-Pesa PIN, and click on the link received to sign in to your new DSTV Stream account.
Simple.
Only with DSTV Stream and Safaricom Home Fiber. T's and C's apply.
People Daily, Kenya's trusted newspaper, is making history as the first daily to go fully digital. By transitioning from print to the PD News app, we are delivering the same exceptional journalism you've relied on for years in a completely new way to experience it. It's news for today and the future. No paper, no waste. Just real-time updates and customizable stories. This is a leap towards innovation, sustainability, and a better experience for you, our reader. Download the PD app now on Play Store and App Store. People Daily. News that moves with you.
With every bid that falls, power shifts.
I want them to feel the emptiness I feel.
All of her property and assets shall be left to Amichir Achesa.
A legacy unravels.
Mimi ndio sheria, mfalme wale Murat.
Who will be left standing when the last bid falls? Shanga Season 2, Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. on Maisha Magic Plus. Stay connected to DSTV Channel 163 and GoTV Channel 3.
Usife moyo, weka matumaini yako hai. Ipo siku, maombi yako yatatimia. Ipo siku, neema itashuka maishani mwako. Zidi kuweka matumaini yako hai. Kwegwatra skiza tune, tumaini, hihinya, *811, *48 hash. Wegwatra skiza tune, tumaini dhimwene ya kumodhe, *811, *48 hash.
And welcome back. This is the Gen Z Manifesto. Kazi yetu hapa ni kuongea itutoke. And today we are asking one question, yeah? Umesoma Finance Bill 2025, and if so, what is your opinion on it? Na naona kuna feedback from you guys at home. Let's read some of them. Aha, Rono Reyes anasema half of youths waiting until it's in parliament to protest. Now, that is why we are here now, okay? This show is for us to talk about it. Mutwiri John anasema, a good move, K24. Thank you so much. We are doing our best. Thank you. Panga Kango anasema, budget should be retrieved. We need to see transparency, period. And I agree with you, Panga. Irungu Muturi anasema, hakuna kitu kama finance bill. Wa Kenya tumeishi kudanganywa ati finance bill. Kila time Kenya chenye tuko nayo ni budgeted corruption. Irungu Muturi ameinject. Clinical Jeff anasema, Kenyans on alert. Tuko keen kama mwaka jana, and I love it for us. Aha, aka Sanaksoksia Wewe, nimejaribu kusoma lakini si radanishi, and I understand you, okay? And that's why we are having shows like this to break down clauses, okay, for you guys at home. Aha, Clinical Jeff 10 anasema, no finance bill, budgeted corruption. I think we read that before. Eric anasema, hatujaiona lakini hatuitaki. Eric, we wacha. Tunakutumia after this show. Albert anasema, this finance bill is flawed. How do you budget for 20,000 new interns but not confirm existing ones? If teachers protest as they've threatened, who will teach our children? Swali nyeti, Albert. Langata anasema, hi, I'm from Kericho. Hiyo finance bill ni scam. How can not touching payslip help us non-payslip people? As our guy said here, it's all a scam, corruption, and all those. I wish our previous unity would come back. Langata nasema ni kama nataka mwende streets tena. And you know, it's funny, last year walisema, ni kama walituita madwanzi in short, wakasema hata tuelewi content ya finance bill. But look at us here, breaking down the finance bill clause by clause. Sioni madwanzi with us in the room. Now, our guy here, I want to talk to you. Sophie there mentioned that they are umeji-employ, but bado they are coming for your payslip.
Okay, for a fact, I have gone through the finance bill 2025-2026, and to answer your question, it is ironical that you are telling a person who does not have a payslip that you are coming for, you are not touching his or her payslip. That is a very ironical thing that our government is doing. Another thing is, I have read the finance bill 2025-2026, with trauma. So I was reading I myself, but we in mind. Because of what? I know there's my grandmother at home who does not understand the finance bill, and it will indirectly or directly affect him or her. So, with all those combined, trauma and taking it more serious more than other years, because now we are no longer doomed, and we are looking things through our eyes. And if you look at through my lenses, you can check and see that they have tried to evade things like tax collection. By this year, they are collecting 4.2 trillion without the tax that they were imposing. Where will that money come from?
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So Alinyeti, our economist over there will tell us, Linda. I want to hear your opinions as well. You've not talked during the whole show. Have you read the finance bill? What has Nini may stand out according to you? You know, tell us your thoughts.
My name is Sabari, Billy Akwida Sabari. And they've always been knowing who are targeting us. From the global powers of the World Economic Forum to many other people who just come and lend us money, give us the money. Because in the end, the finance bill is being debated, yet the public is not even contributing that much of an amount to the public service, to the finance bill, because a majority of the funds being used for the finance bill is money that has been borrowed. So we're actually using money in a very scrupulous way, yet it is not even like fully our money. Money that was borrowed up to maybe $1 trillion now. And yet the money is coming in, flowing in through very shallow channels, not getting to the common mwananchi. So we don't have the money at first. We go and borrow it. Then we misallocate it. So we don't any money to the creative economy. They didn't even know that it existed until they saw people earning money from it. So wherever they see money, they see us like trees, just coming to pluck money from the trees. And it's not going to happen in that way, because the content creators will have to go through a process of creating content on their own. The government has never given us any tools to emancipate ourselves from the financial abyss that we have been in as the youths, as Gen Zs. And yet they want to tax that. Now, we have platforms like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. They already like tax you. They already like take the 30% off your earnings. Now we have the government of Kenya wants to take 30%. Now, in total, you're being taxed at 60%. A whole whooping 60% taxation on the content that you created on your own. So in the end, while we were giving a talk on the pay slips here, I didn't even want to talk on it, because which pay slips are you talking about? The government doesn't facilitate people being given the pay slips, first of all. So you do not pay people. Then you want to take from their pockets. And apart from that, we are now being taxed to even use open source technologies. Open source technologies. Things are out here. The universe is now metamorphosizing into something new. The fourth industrial revolution. People are out here. Look at Japan. The youth in Japan emancipated, they are free. Even the youths in Chicago, the youths in, name these countries, China, North Korea, they are free. But look at us. We try to earn in a very creative way. That's why I'm really hurt by this, because the creative digital economy is a very independent form of earning revenue, because that's how the government is going to categorize us, source of revenue. The carriers out here wants to get into your wallet. We don't even have credit cards. You want to get into our M-Pesas. It wants to be everywhere, meaning that they want to control the cash flow. Yet the SRC, the Salaries and Remunerations Committee and Corporation, they know nothing about how the common mwananchi, who is a Gen Z, who is unemployed, they know nothing about how you earn money. I can go on with this talk,
but you so much.
I'll have to leave them with this.
Okay.
For everything, it's actually a law in quantum physics. The law of cause and effect. It states that for every cause, there's an equal and proportional effect. And for every effect, there's an equal and proportional cause. The J25 protests, the mandamanos, they were just but an effect. The cause we all know. It's happening again. The question is, what effects will this so-called finance bill being propagated and just bashed on us, what effect will it have on the country?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Now I want to get to this guy over here before we go to you, Linda. He said that Kenya has never been economically free. We keep on borrowing. Do you think kuna place itaifika that we are actually free, that we are not borrowing? Ama, is this a utopia?
Thank you very much. My name is Wesley Masongo, Emeritus President, Riara University. And the simple answer to that is, it depends. It's an if. If we behave well, if we have better leaders, if we make the right choices, we're going to end up in the right place. But if we do the contrary, then the contrary will also happen. But today here, I have come with 3 very clear messages to the...
Quick, yeah?
Yeah, 3 messages to the government. Message number 1, when I read the finance bill, there is an amendment that seeks to amend Section 59A of the tax procedures, especially by the deletion of Part 1B, which prohibits the commissioner of KRA from integrating KRA systems with company systems if that integration will actually interfere or rather expose company secrets and personal information of clients that is held by the company in trust. Now that amendment has to go. Iko simple to hivyo. Because we know very much that the government will utilize any opportunity that it has to access personal information in individuals to use it in the wrong way. So Gava, you drop that thing. Part 60 of that tax procedures, inakubali Gava, kama you think that someone is cheating in his taxes, then you can have a warrant that can allow you to scrutinize that. So the removal, now subjecting and exposing everyone just because you think a few characters are cheating in taxes, then it's not justifiable. Na wenye serikali wanajua ni nani wana cheat in taxes. Some of them are their friends. Point number 2, you cannot increase the tax base by taxing people more. The best way to increase the tax base is by making sure that the majority of the youth of who are employed have work. In 2023, we had a very smart plan yenye ilikuja hapa hivi kusave youth wa Kenya. Walikuwa wanaitwa the World Foundation. Every month walikuwa wanapatia youth 6 coins. At that time, coin moja ilikuwa worth 1,000. Right now, the coin is about 150 shillings. Quick mathematics tells you, if we use that projection of $1.50 per coin times
next year. So basically, the government is playing us. Secondly, we want to ask ourselves, we have got resources in this country. Okay, the other day we had information that there are over 974 types of minerals in this country. Savo right now is being mined. Okay, we have what Wabunjo.
I'm going straight to you.
You've heard their concerns. Most of the things that they've raised are majorly on the finance bill and some of the areas that they wish could be changed. You have interacted with the finance bill 2025-2026. Some of the notable areas, especially most that touch on the youth. They've talked about digital tax and many others.
One of my areas that I have seen and I think is important to highlight is the issue of input costs. Remember I mentioned that the economy has been subdued for a long time now, and the issue mainly is the input costs. So when I look at the finance bill, I see what some of the Gen Zs have mentioned in terms of removing from zero-rated to VAT exempt, which means now the costs will be passed to the consumer. So one of the issues or inputs that I've seen, we've seen inputs on, for example, the items that are used to produce wind and solar energy, which then translates to electricity prices. So electricity prices have been a challenge for us as a country because it's an input cost and it translates or it trickles down to very many other sectors of the economy.
And also sugar, transportation
exactly.
for sugar cane, which will later translate to
sugar prices,
which is a basic commodity.
Exactly. So that is a challenging issue, and I'd really love for the government to actually focus and look at the input bit of our economy, because input costs largely constrained the margins of businesses.
Yeah.
And again, it trickles down to very many other things, including the profits that they make, whether they are able to repay their loans back, whether they are able to borrow, which trickles down to their creditworthiness. So it translates to very many things, that bit on input costs.
And when the government says there are no new taxes in this 2025-2026 finance bill, what does that mean?
It just means that the quantity or the amount of taxes that we had seen in the previous finance bill are not in this one, but
inamaanisha bado tutafinywa ama tutafinywa, hiyo tu ndo tunataka tujue at this point.
If it has to raise 25 to 35 billion, then this money has to come from somewhere. So hata kama hatufinywi sana, kidogo, the kufinywa is still there. But basically, what I'd say with the Finance Bill 2025 is that I think it would have been worse if the younger generation did not go to the streets last year, because again, last year's Finance Bill was very heavy on us as the Kenyan citizens. So I believe maybe if there was no such uproar by the public, probably the Finance Bill 2025 would have been more squeezing to the Kenyans, and
it could be worse.
Yeah, it could be worse. I do not want to say whether it's a good or a bad thing, but
it's definitely a bad thing.
Yeah.
Well, let me get this from you, Sophie. What were your main concerns, and what would be your recommendations so far? Because I know you've interacted with the finance bill. What would you recommend?
First of all, my main concerns are the government is purporting to reduce expenditure and not tax the common mwananchi more. But if you look at it critically in terms of where they have reduced the expenditure, they have reduced expenditure on critical, essential services to the common mwananchi. The education sector has lost approximately 1.3 billion shillings for school feeding, for CBC infrastructure. You find the health sector, maternal health has suffered. There's no more Linda Mama. So they are purporting to reduce expenditure, but they are significantly working day and night to disadvantage the common mwananchi. Yet they are putting themselves in a position where they are more advantaged. Why? They're putting more money for innovations. They're putting more money in the consolidated fund. And if you think about it, last year, this government enabled themselves to access the consolidated fund without approval from Parliament. So the biggest people who have failed us today, and I will say this over and over again, it's our members of Parliament. They have failed to represent us and our interests. They have represented themselves. My recommendation would be, number one, as they're putting the finance bill, let them tell us the targets for each single amendment. You're amending zero rated to tax exempt. What are you looking to raise from that amendment? You're bringing in digital tax of 16% on digital services. What are you looking to raise? So that when the next finance bill comes, we have something to look back to. You amended this, you raised this. You amended this, you raised this. Exactly. And on top of my recommendations would be to ask the citizens of Kenya, hata kama hauna payslip, they're still coming for your self-employment. So as Kenyans, we wake up and we commit what is called class suicide. The people who are middle income earners and high income earners, don't think you're more special. Come and help these people at the bottom. Say no to these things. Let us stand up and say no, most especially to this finance bill. And my clarion call will be to okoe payslip. Whether you have a payslip or not, ujue uko na payslip, uko na hustle, hiyo ndio payslip yako. So let's work kuokoa hiyo payslip. And my last recommendation would be for us to find a way of disciplining our members of Parliament when they fail to represent us.
Well, thank you so much, Sophie. As you give your final thoughts as well, you can mention some of the sustainable ways in which the government can raise tax briefly, just in 30 seconds.
Yeah, so I think to increase our taxes, we need to increase to broaden our tax base. And by that we mean, as one of the Gen Z said, increase the job opportunities. Number two, ensure that the businesses we have the existing businesses are thriving, because the more they make profit, the more you collect in terms of, for example, corporate tax. My final thoughts would be, let's participate in the whole budget making process, from the budget review and outlook paper to the budget policy statement to the appropriations bill, because the appropriations bill is actually more important. And it's what I think more of the Gen Zs are speaking about, because any allocations, the renovation amounts, those ones are in the appropriations bill, not in the finance bill.
Exactly.
So let's work on participating more on that. And
Thank you.
we have the dates for the public participation. For the written comments for the finance bill, it's up to 27th of this month. For the budget estimates, it's up to 20th. So
Thank
forward
you.
your comments.
Yes, thank you so much. That has been Stella Swake, who's the Senior Associate Researcher at Standard Investment Bank. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you.
And we also had Sophie Mugure. We are truly honored to have you here as well today. Thank you so much. Sophie Mugure is a youth leader. And well, that's all that we had for you here at Gen Z Manifesto Show. You've heard. You start from the appropriations bill right before you get into the finance bill. At least leo tumechanuka, right? Well, my name is Linda Koskei. See you again next Tuesday. To you, Miss K.
Thank you so much, Linda. Now, as we close the show tonight, here are my 2 cents. Last year, 2024, really stripped off the ngozi from the condor and showed us the real faces of our leaders. They called us dimwits for apparently not understanding the contents of the then problematic finance bill. But the young people quickly proved them wrong and even added some spice by translating the clauses to different languages for everyone to be aware of the almost disaster. Not very dimwit behavior, right? And now, the proposed Finance Bill 2025-2026 is out, and the Gen Zs are at it again, dissecting each clause to make sure no monkey business goes on. So far, so good.